Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Hart for those of you that are new. And today I'll be breaking down this 5-game NBA slate here for Tuesday night on DraftKings. Kind of doing an early slate breakdown, early look at this slate, kind of talking through who I like, who I don't like, all that good stuff. I'll have like an early look core plays. Guys, I kind of want to start building around based on the injury news we have now. As always, injury news changes. So make sure to stay up to date with it going into the slate tomorrow and throughout. But I will have early look core plays coming out on my Twitter tomorrow early morning, kind of midday, and then in the afternoon, I'll have my updated core plays on my Patreon link down below. So let's get right into this. Before we do, just want to recap my lineup from tonight. The core plays for me for tonight were Luke Kennard, Scotty Barnes, PJ Washington, and Carl Towns. Those were posted in my Patreon link down below. But yeah, as you can see, it's been a pretty solid night so far. It would be an amazing night if Embiid didn't go for literally 70 points. If you guys did not know, Embiid had a massive, massive night. But Carl Towns, only 14% owned, ended up with another massive night as well, kind of alongside Embiid. He went for 62 real life points. Embiid went for 70. So really nice having that. Scotty Barnes was fantastic. Dropped a 60 bomb there after doing nothing in the second quarter. Luke Kennard was really, really good. PJ Washington, pretty disappointing. He was very, very poor the first three quarters. Turned on a little bit there in that fourth quarter. But yeah, would have liked a little bit more from him, but didn't see a ton of minutes there. I think he only ended up with like 30 or 31. Would have been nice if he saw like 4 or 5 more minutes there. But yeah, pretty strong. Oh, and then Jaren Jackson Jr., he had 32 fantasy points in that first quarter there, and then he really cooled off. I think he only finished the second quarter with like 3 fantasy points. Obviously, he lucked into 6 steals in that first quarter, but still really, really dropped off fantasy production-wise in that second half there. So, yeah, looking like a strong night. Kobe White's still here to go, about a quarter and a half. He's on pace to have a really, really solid game. Could get a triple-double there. So I can move into tripling up my money. Nothing too crazy there, but glad the core plays are all really, really strong tonight here. Moving into this 5-game slate tomorrow, we have the Nuggets Pacers 3-point spread, 241.5 game total, looking very juicy there. Knicks Nets 3.5 point spread, 223.5 total. Jazz Pelicans 6.5 point spread, 239.5. Blazers Thunder 14-point spread, obviously huge blowout risk there, 236. And then Lakers Clippers 8.5 point spread, 230.5 total. So jumping into this 5-game slate here. First game, Denver versus Indiana. On the Denver side, obviously a fantastic game environment. Really want to attack Indiana here because they're not the best defense. You could say their offense is so good, it kind of hurts their defense a little bit by how fast and good they play and how efficient they are, but still, we really want to attack Indiana. So absolutely love Jokic here, 11.2K. He started to turn it on a little bit here in terms of fantasy point upside. Murray, I think, is a very strong play there in the mid-range. I think he's like a Randall. I think he's like a Brunson. All very strong plays. Sure, they do have a little bit of a risky floor and ceiling at times with the kind of their inconsistency, but all three have been very strong recently. So I do like the upside there as very, very strong contrarian options there in the AK range. So we'll get to the other two here in the next game. But yeah, I think Murray's a strong play. MPJ is one of those, kind of the X factor GPP guys. Like he should see 30 plus minutes and he should see 10 plus shot attempts. And if that happens, usually he has a pretty solid game. Like he can easily go for a double-double and go for, 35, 40, 50 plus upside, even alongside Murray and Jokic, who could be having good games and usually do. So that's interesting there with MPJ is like, if you're in that range, I don't think I'd go out of my way to play him. But if you're floating in that range, I think he's a good option if you're trying to get a little bit contrarian. Aaron Gordon's a little bit on the even riskier side of things in GPPs. If you're trying to get, cute, trying to get different, as you can see, has solid upside. Like he can get into the double-double territory a few games here and there, but obviously the upside there with the offense is very limited. Unless someone gets in massive foul trouble like a Jokic or a Jamal Murray, then he will have to step up. But you're hoping for a lot there. So I think it's more of a stay away from me. In terms of like the mid-range value on this team, KCP, he'll have like 1 out of 10 games. He'll go for 25, 30 plus. So if you're stuck on him, I don't mind him, but I don't think there's a need to get any value on the Nuggets right now, just because they run Reggie, Peyton Watson, Jordan a little bit, and then Christian Brown a little bit. They're kind of all splitting the backup run there, but nothing too crazy to where you really like them. On the Indiana side here, the big news right now is going to be Halliburton, because if he's in, my only interest in this team is pretty much going to be Halliburton, Siakam. I think Turner still could be a very strong GPP option, kind of like MPJ play. Hield would be more so kind of that very risky, kind of like Aaron Gordon play. from the Denver side. Like, has upside there. It just, the minutes are a little bit in question right now for Hield, even though they've been strong the past 3 games. But with the addition of Siakam, with Tyrese Haliburton, sure, it should lead to more open threes for Hield. But I think the playmaking goes down. So I have just a hard time trusting him right now. But yeah, if Halburn's out, then we're going to look to Nembhard or McConnell. Obviously, if Halburn's out, Nembhard's out, McConnell's going to start, and should be an absolute lock in your lineup with his upside. Obviously, a little bit of blowout risk here in this game, but I still think Indiana should be able to keep it close, especially if they do have Halburn. Then I have no interest in these guards. So the guards is really dependent on Halburn. If he's in, absolutely love Halburn. I think Siakam's a very strong secondary option because he should see 30 plus minutes. And then Turner's a very strong GPP option. Feels like the Aaron Gordon, very risky option in GPPs, and that'd be it. But if there is no Halburn, then Siakam could be a fringe, very, very good play, strong play, I should say. Turner would be, an even stronger secondary option. Hield should be a little bit more interesting to me. 5.8, he should do more playmaking. And I'd really like one or both of the guards, depending on if they play or not. I don't think I'm going to get to any of the guys Mathurin and below. I just think they're going to lose minutes to Siakam. On the New York Knicks side, as I said, kind of Jamal Murray. Very, very strong plays here for Brunson and Randall. Brunson's been fantastic past 4 games, 30 or more points in 4 straight, as you can see. Sometimes he's scoring independent, but he's been turning up lately, so it's really hard to ignore him. But like Murray, like Randall, like himself, usually all in the AK range, and usually no one lands on them, so they're all strong secondary options. Big news here for the Knicks is Hartenstein. If he's out, we can look to either Precious or Sims starting. I don't really care too much who starts. I think Precious should see the majority of the minutes. Now, it's not a guarantee, but I would assume, Coach Thibodeau is smart enough to play Precious over Sims because Sims is god awful and all he can do is jump. But yeah, we shall see. But either way, I think I would take the risk of going with Precious, even if he doesn't get the start and Sims does, if there is no Hartenstein. Now, if there's Hartenstein, there's no need to get to either one of them. OG's there. DiVincenzo's there. I don't think there's a need to land in either one. It's like a lottery ticket. You're not getting much there from either one. So I'd rather just go to someone else in the 5K range who probably has a little bit of a lower floor, but obviously a little bit of a higher upside there. Hart, same thing, just hasn't been too productive recently in terms of DFS for this season. So I think it's more so of an okay play there. That's really it. I kind of talked about everyone else. Moving on to the Brooklyn side here. Miles Bridges is coming in at a fair price tag. He's been aggressive, should see the minutes, should have low ownership. He's there. Claxton, really strong if you think he's going to see 30 plus minutes. As we can see in 4 straight games, 5, he's gone for a double-double, almost a double-double, 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 kind of close to double-double. But, 4 straight, 5 straight, I can't even talk, with 30 plus fantasy points there, 31, 36, 48.5, and 34. So I think it's a very strong play at 6.8K. It's just the risk at times is those minutes. So right now I do have interest in him, so I'll throw him in there. Cam Thomas, like an MPJ play, just a little bit cheaper. The minutes are kind of not as good as MPJ, and he's going to shoot the ball more. So it's very risky there, but if he hits his shots, going to be a very strong play. Cam Johnson, just a little bit riskier of a play compared to Cam Thomas. I just think because minutes haven't been the best for him recently. Dinwiddie's been god awful, so if you want to buy low on someone, could be that guy. Shot fine, 6-9 from last game, 32.5 fantasy points, 5.6. We know the upside's there with him. Does have double-double upside with assists. I will mention that. So I don't mind landing him at 5.6. Feels a little bit forced, but he is point guard, shooting guard eligible, so it really helps out the lineups there. Dennis Smith Jr. seen about mid-teens minutes. Fine play. I don't love the price tag in him, so I really want to get to him unless there's a random, DNP for a guy like Dinwiddie or something. Don't think that'll happen, but yeah. The price is not the best on DSJ. Moving on to DFS here. The classic DFS has like a strong, month, first 2 months, and then he just drops off the planet and doesn't become efficient at all and doesn't do much. Lonnie Walker kind of lost his minutes with Cam Thomas moving to the bench. Royce O'Neal, same thing. Minutes are going down, production going down. This team is just in shambles right now. Moving on to Portland here versus OKC. It's a good game environment. Very cheap guys on the Portland side. It's just, will this game stay close? You never know. Portland's been terrible. Huge point spread. I think it was 12 or 14. We looked to go a few minutes ago. But yeah, if you think this game stays close Anthony Simons is going to be a big part. I feel like a broken record saying this, but is a huge part of the offense, has a ton of usage, should see 30 plus minutes, should see 15 or more shot attempts. I mean, it's all there. It just comes down to can he get a shot and will this game stay close? So I have a lot of interest, but obviously it's very risky. Moving on to Jeremy Grant here. Going to be that second option. I think he's a fine play, 7.1. Don't love the price tag, but he should see the minutes. He's been super aggressive recently. As you can see, a little bit score independence, but he's fine. Brogdon should come off the bench. I think he sees 30 minutes, a little bit more is great, but he's been more aggressive recently as well. I think they're going to start ramping him up, especially Shaden Sharp out, where they're going to start ramping Brogdon up. So he can kind of flash his upside. Everybody knows it, but still, they just want to know he's healthy, which it looks like he is, and they're going to trade him. I guarantee that happens. So I do have a good amount of interest in him. Don't mind going to him if you don't want to go to Simons, but I think both makes you a little bit more contrarian, but obviously a little bit riskier, and hoping this game stays close. I think Ayton's a strong play here at 6.3K if he sees the minutes. Minutes haven't been the best past 2 games, but if he stays out of foul trouble, should see 30 plus. I think this could be a nice bounce back spot for him. In terms of the rest of the team, not much interest. They'll spray in some Walker, Henderson, Reith, and Kamara, but nothing too crazy there. Moving on to OKC. On the OKC side, I mean, we're getting SGA at a very, very cheap price tag here in a fantastic matchup. No one's going to be able to guard him. Would not be surprised if SGA goes for 40 plus real life points tomorrow. Holmgren's price really plummeted. 7.1K is very, very cheap for Chet. Kind of been in that high 7 to 8K range. So you're getting him at a discount there. I like that. A little bit of a discount for Jalen Williams, but I think I'd rather go with just Chet and SGA for right now. Even though Jalen Williams has been very, very good and strong recently, I just think the efficiency is going to drop a little bit here for him. Giddey, kind of like an MPJ play, has that upside. It's just, will he get the minutes? Will those shot attempts fall? That's really it. They'll mix in some Wallace, some Wiggins, some Micic, some Kendrick Williams, and even some Dort, some Joe. Dort starts, so even some Joe, but nothing crazy to where you want to land on these guys. If you want to take a shot, Joe and probably Kendrick Williams are going to be your best bets, but it's very, very tough trying to get to that value there because they just play so many guys and a lot of them just don't have a ton of usage. Moving on to the Jazz here. Jazz, marketing, the leader, going to be leading this team in terms of usage, minutes, shot attempts, most of the time. Good ceiling, low floor. I think 8.1 is pretty cheap for Laurie here. Clarkson, coming to a very cheap price tag for him. Minutes have been up the past 2 games. Same thing with the shot attempts. So scoring dependent at times, but we know he's an absolute microwave. So if he gets hot, could easily smash 6.4. So I think they're both very, very strong and interesting GPP options on the slate. We'll see if they get any sort of ownership. I'm sure Colin Sexton is going to be super popular once again. Price hasn't moved. He's been very, very good in terms of DFS. As you can see here, basically 3 straight games, almost 4 straight with 30 points, real life points. So, yeah, I mean, it's hard to not have interest in Colin Sexton here, especially with CJ McCollum defense. Very, very bad defender. In terms of the rest of the team, kind of one of those teams where they just play a ton of guys, and I don't have a ton of interest. John Collins is probably the most interesting just because we know we can go for some double-double upside, but otherwise they're playing Dunn, they're playing Olynyk, they're playing Fonte, they're playing Abaji, they're playing Collins, they're playing Kessler, they're playing George. I mean, it's hard to like any of them at their price tags when they're all getting split up pretty much even minutes. Moving on to the Pelicans here, great matchup. I think CJ is probably the best bets out of the top 3. I think he's the safest. Brandon Ingram probably has the most upside. I say right in the middle is going to be Zion, who I think is a fine play. It's just hard land on him. It just seems like his upside is limited right now, playing him with the 3 main stars, kind of like CJ. So I think CJ is the safest. Ingram probably has the highest upside, and then Zion's probably the little mix of both. J-Val, the minutes just have not been great, as you can see here. It's just the minutes thing, right? We're back to that issue with J-Val. If he sees the minutes, he should be good. Otherwise, it's hard to get to him. In terms of the value, I actually do have some interest in Trey Murphy, one of those microwave guys. He's already seen, low to mid 20s minutes. If he hits a few shots, he will kind of go off and be aggressive, and he can easily go for 25, 30 fantasy points. Could help you get different on the slate, so I like him at 5.1. Herb Jones, just the better defender, worse offensive player compared to Trey Murphy there. So I'd give the edge to Trey Murphy, but he's fine if you land on Herb Jones. Larry Nance I think is a strong value option. We'll see him forced. I'm sure he'll get a ton of ownership, but as you can see, he does have a little bit of upside, especially Utah. They could go small, which, forces, J-Val to lose minutes there. Hawkins, kind of like a better version of Isaiah Joe, where The minutes he's seen the past 4 games before that, they're kind of sporadic, so they're not a guarantee. But if he comes off, hits a few shots, could get extended, and you could be looking at a cheap-ish value at 4,000. Then moving on to the last game here. On the Lakers side here, we got the news that LeBron's out, so we get 80, Russell, Reeves, Prince, and I would assume Hachimura, if not Vanderbilt, or maybe even a Wood. What to see here, but we're going to get a lot of value. Anthony Davis looks like a very, very strong play. The same thing with Russell and Reeves. They're all three of them are going to carry the offensive load. And if it is Rui, I really like him. Even if it's a Wood, I really like him. So we're going to get a ton of value on this Lakers side. So I'd say 2-3 Lakers is very, very strong and probably going to be the optimal and the best route to build your lineups around, just because losing LeBron is losing pretty much half this offense for this team right now. I know Russell and Reeves Russell's been really stepping up the past few games, but yeah, I mean, they're going to need more of that. They're going to need more of AD, and they're going to need more of Reeves. So those three are very, very strong. Then obviously, whoever starts for LeBron, I would assume it's going to be Rui. Maybe Wood, but if it's Rui, really like him. Even if it's Rui off the bench, really like him. I think Wood's a very strong secondary option. But yeah, a lot to like here for the Lakers side. And then moving on to the Clipper side here, I think it's a good matchup. I mean, no LeBron obviously makes it, I'd say, a little bit of a blowout risk for the Lakers. If they don't hit their shots, the Clippers have been cooking. So Kawhi, I think, is kind of in that range of like Jamal Murray, Brunson. Those other guys in the 8K range, they kind of just feel there. They feel like everyone's going to pass over them. So I think Kawhi, Paul George, fine plays. Harden, you need him to hit that double-double upside. Otherwise, he's not going to pay off his price tag. Just not shooting the ball a ton with those starters in there. And then the other guy I would look to would probably be Tice or Plumlee. Like if you're looking to get different in terms of value, they both should split the center minutes. Plumlee's probably a little bit better point per minute guy, just a little bit more active defensively and offensively, even though Tice is a better shooter. Plumlee's just a little bit more active in the pick and rolls, a little bit more athletic. So I look to those guys for cheap value. Otherwise, I just kind of stick with the main two, Kawhi and Paul George. That's going to be it. As you can see, there's a lot to like here on this slate. We got the Lakers guys. We got the Pelicans guys, the Utah guys. We have the OKC guys who could be strong if the Portland guys keep it close, and the Portland guys are pretty cheap. A lot of guard options to like on the slate. We got the guys who are in the AK range we'll talk about, as you can see here, from Brunson down to Murray. I mean, Brunson, Randall, Leonard, Paul George, Murray. I think one of those guys is going to end up in the optimal build, optimal lineup, just because I think people are going to pay up and they're going to pay down based on all the injury news. So hope you guys liked the video. As I said, I'll have my early look core plays on my Twitter midday, and then my final look core plays on my Patreon link down below right before lock. So hit that like button. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.